Welcome to Ekvipage podcast with Helle. In this week's podcast, Helle talks about riding school safety and what that actually means.
Hi everyone, welcome to this podcast. I want to do a small series on safety in the riding school area because I'm kind of big on that. I don't, not to say that I don't ever have anything happen or that I think about everything in my riding school, but I try to be aware of stuff and I want to share that with you. So I think this first one today is going to be overall about safety, why I think safety is important and where it's all going south, I reckon. So I can only speak for Denmark, of course. Up here, I'm actually doing a first aid course with a paramedic. He's the bloke that has worked in the rescue units and seen a lot of horse accidents. And he called me up one day and said, "Look, can I get you to help me? Because I'm kind of sick and tired of this because this is really ridiculous." So he's doing the first aid course that's hasn't aimed just for horse accidents. Was overall first aid, but it's fall in high speed, it's crashing into things, it's fingers and toes clipped off from biting and stepping and toes, and it's head injuries, head traumas, stuff like that. It's more from the real horse world, like what does he see when he comes out to help people that's been injured. And my job is to do 2 hours of introduction on safety on the horse part. And you know what, this clinic is a pretty awesome clinic to do because I'm a decent person at getting people to listen to me when I'm teaching, I reckon, but I've never had anything or anyone listen so much to me as when we do this paramedic or this first aid clinic. Because what we do is Helle is starting with, he's doing the introduction and he just goes around the figures of it. And in Denmark alone, we have, the horse sport is the most dangerous sport entirely. It comes above motocross and car racing and parachuting and all sorts of stuff. So compared to the numbers of people riding in the sport compared to other sports, we have the highest accident rate. It's 182, or was it 87? I think it's 182 accidents per year average where people get, where they don't come back to normal functions, where they actually get out of it with a handicap. So that's pretty serious stuff. So my thought around this, I've been looking into it, and you can look into all the statistics. The only thing they do claim is it's the highest rate is amongst girls between 19 and down to 16 years of age. So it's basically teenagers, eh? This is kind of interesting because they haven't done any statistics on safety gear, riding, helmets and vests and stuff, and they haven't done any statistics on the situations either. What were the situations? Were they riding or were they on the ground? Were they inside, outside, trail riding? What were they doing? There's no statistics on that either, as far as I can look up. But I bet you these accidents don't happen because people don't wear a helmet or a vest. They happen because people don't think. They happen because people get into a situation, a setup that hasn't been thought all the way through, and because people don't know enough about the animal they're with, the horse. So I have this thought, coming back to the accident rate of the 16 to 19-year-old girls or riders, I'm thinking, well, how can that be? I went into a riding school at one stage. I was in there by something completely else. And I overlooked a lesson in there with some youngsters in, and these girls were maybe 5-6 years old. I think I mentioned it in another podcast, where the teacher tells them to trot, and this girl has the mum, or it looks like the mum, were leading this pony, and they were trotting, and the pony didn't want to trot. So the riding school teacher tells the girl to start bumping the legs, kicking use all your strength. Take the legs out, pull them far away from the horse, and really, get at it. Get this pony to trot. And mum is sort of pulling on the reins and stuff. Eventually, it doesn't work, so she gives this little girl a stick, and she says, "Okay, so you do that with your legs, and you just whack him a bit on the bum." Or make him trot. Eventually this pony trots and everyone's happy except for the pony. And I'm just, ever since that situation occurred, I've been thinking about, what do we teach these kids? So what did this little person learn about being a person, a human? Not so much about riding, but I think the skills that were taught to this little girl were to keep insisting no matter what. Do not ever stop and resist the situation. Get what you want, by all means. And it's okay to hit. It's okay to hit an animal. It's okay to hit someone else to get your point through. And it's okay to, basically get your point through no matter the means. I've been in other situations as well where there was a girl getting thrown from a pony really dramatically. She sat in the saddle getting on, and this pony just takes off. Completely nutcase, just pig rooting. And it goes through this long indoor arena. It's really long, and it sort of goes across, and it goes straight for the wall, and it blocks all 4 legs, and this girl gets thrown. Luckily she doesn't hit the wall. She actually falls on the ground right beside the wall. And this pony takes off, and it's just buck jumping all around the arena, just going berserk. And the mum is in there getting the girl up, and I'm just sort of I'm just assessing the situation to begin with. And I was like, well, I'm a guest here, but nevertheless, I'm going to go in and interfere. So I'm going to go in, they get a hold of the pony, so the mum's there with the pony and the girl, and I walk up and said, look, that looked kind of crazy. And the girl is crying, and she said, well, it's not the first time. And the mum mumbles, no, it's not the first time. And I'm like, okay, but right now, it might be very smart. No, I asked the girl, I said, are you crying because you got scared, or are you crying because you hurt yourself? I hurt my back. She's crying still and says, I hurt my back. So I'm saying to this mum, saying, look, I really suggest that you don't put your girl back on straight away. And she just looks at me and says, well, she's getting on. Seriously, that's what she said. She's getting on. And I said, well, this is my specialty, horse behavior and stuff. And I'll tell you, well, there's a high risk that the pony's going to do it again. So I really recommend you don't get your daughter on right now. Yeah, well, she's getting on. And it ended up with me turning around. I also said, look, your daughter's hurt. You need to give her like 30-minute rest, because that's the time it can actually take the body to adjust to the situation and know what's wrong. And it didn't work. Of course it didn't work. So I'm leaving the arena. I've stated my case. I never expected this to work, but I wanted to state my case. I wanted this mum to start thinking about actively what she was actually doing. And the people in the arena to notice that this was not normal behavior. Someone should step up and walk in and say, look, this is not okay. What happened is that I leave the arena, and before I'm actually outside the arena, this girl is on the pony trotting on a launch rein or launch lead, and on a very tight pony. So these two situations put together, along with the accident rate of 16 to 19 year olds, I'm thinking, could it be the fact that we teach the kids to go for what they want, never considering the means, and that it's okay to just escalate the situation, and you got to win. You got to win over the horse. You got to make him do as you want. Doing this in these situations, we get to a point where we teach them the other side of the coin here is not teaching them to assess the situation, to have the tools to de-escalate a situation or a conflict, to be smart and clever, not to get into a conflict and not to work something up, and to be smart and clever to know when something is dangerous. So I'm thinking that these girls here, these two that I mentioned now, I'm thinking there's two options here. Either they get sick and tired from riding, and this high risk, most likely this young girl, 6-year-old, she would probably get on the pony eventually, maybe this pony that she's whacking on the bum to get to trot after she's been kicking him like 20 times in his ribs. There's a slight chance that this pony is becoming a pissed off little school pony, eh? So if that's the case, she will take a fall eventually from this pony or from another one, or she will get bitten or kicked or something. So either these kids here, they get scared of riding, they give up. It's not very much fun. They either get scared of sitting up there, or they just end up hating it. I think this second one, she was pretty gutsy. She was very scared as well, but she did get on, and she, I don't think she was left the option A. So I think there's also the chance that if they don't get scared, they just get bold. They just get gutsy and, hell, I can do this. So by the time these girls are 16, 17, 18 years old, they do not have the feel of a situation. They don't have any tools to de-escalate, to avoid conflict, to make smart, clever choices. They just go on headstrong because they can fucking manage these horses, eh? Because there's some adults that have really completely and utterly fucking failed their responsibility to teach safety, to teach the proper tools and teach these kids to evaluate the situation and the horse they're riding. To ask themselves, is there a reason for this? Is there a reason the pony won't trot? Is there a reason my horse is bucking? What's normal? No one has taught them what's normal behavior and what's not normal behavior. So how are they meant to tell the difference? So eventually, they just get a crazy pony. They get a pony, a young pony or whatever. Or they might even be in a club, in a riding club or school or something or in a stable, private stable or something. They have a friend that has this horse, they get scared of riding. And they go like, oh, come on, I can ride it. Doesn't matter. I've done this heaps of times. Yeah, nah, taken a fall lots of times. Maybe this is a part of when accidents happen, eh? So, I want to get people to step up. I want to get people to take the responsibilities of being an adult and teaching other people with horses. It's regardless of if my students are 6 years old or 3 years old or 30 years old. It does not matter. I have to teach them proper evaluation of behavior. There's so many people coming into my riding school, our riding school, saying, the first thing is the parents say, look, you can't go around the horse, around the back of the horse, around the hindquarters. I'm like, why can't you do that? Oh, well, And the kid is going to stand up and say, no, that's true, we're not allowed to do that if the horse is going to be kicking us. What shitty thing is that, to teach kids that a horse is going to be kicking them? They're not kicking them out of the blue. Again, you're not teaching them anything about the situation. So why not teach the kids that when you need to move around the hindquarters, you need to look at your horse, you need to keep an eye on the ears and on the head. You got to be aware of what is your horse doing, and make them do clever, safe choices, eh? Because to teach someone you can't go around the hindquarters of a horse, how's that ever going to happen? You're going to go through life never passing a hindquarter of a horse. Why don't you teach them how to do it in a proper and safe way? So I can go on and on and on about this, but for God's sakes, there's so much on this, and I reckon there's a lot of failures out there, and because of this, there's so many unhappy horses, school ponies and horses. And if you are by any means by any means or by any chance a parent listening in on this, you should know to not accept your kid being around ponies that are biting or kicking or bucking or running off or anything. Horses are nice, subtle, gentle, relaxed creatures, and they will be if they're treated well. So if horses are misbehaving, let's put it that way, there's an issue. There's something they've been taught by a human. There's been human interference making shitty choices for the horse. It could be equipment, it could be something, it could be pain under riding, it could be just misunderstandings, it can be frustration, it can be bad feeding, it could be bad boarding, it could be all sorts of stuff. But just don't ever accept the fact that a horse is sour or angry or whatever. We have a pony in our riding school that used to be a bit cingy. She was a bit, when you were cinching her up, tying this, putting on the saddle and tying, cinching up the girth would get her cranky. She didn't bite, but she pinned the ears, and she would take her head, she would put her head towards you, and she would bite in the air, or she would do it slowly, very politely. Nevertheless, she did it. So what we did is this. I reckon there's a room for these horses in the riding schools, as long as you train them with the students. So what we did was we took the kids in the lessons and said, look, everyone knew that this pony was not allowed to be saddled by anyone but me and the other school teacher. And kids were meant to, they had to leave, they had to stand aside. And we used it. We got the kids to come over and say, look, we're saddling now. Come have a look at this. So tell me when she's starting to worry. Tell me, look at the horse. Tell me when she's starting to say, nah, I don't like what's going to happen next. Teach them how to, this horse was reacting as soon as you lifted the saddle. If you walked towards her a bit too quickly, she would get uncomfortable. Little small signs, and the kids were so able to see all this. Once they knew what to look for, they were just really into it. And so we used it for training purposes and teaching these kids, this is not normal. So we need to help this horse. We need to show her that this is not anything that's painful. We're going to listen to her signals. We're going to take the time it takes to get her comfortable. And now today, she's just a happy school pony, and she doesn't have any issues or anything. So, and we've actually started, there's a couple of kids that have, there's one now that are allowed to saddle her, and it just works without any problems because she's been a part of the teaching. She knows what to look for. She knows how to respect the horse. And now she can basically just saddle in a normal pace. There's no special needs anymore from this horse because we've retrained it. But we did it as a part of the teaching. I don't see why people don't do that. I don't see why people don't get into that mode and use it as a perfect example on how the horse is actually just talking all the time. So anyways, I could go on and on and on about this. I'm outside with my dog walking around, and she's really annoyed with me walking in circles so I don't get too huffing and puffing. I hope you enjoyed this. I will take out tiny examples on how I see things and what we're trying to do in our riding school, and we are way off from being perfect, but at least we're trying, and we try stuff and it's like, nah, that's not going to work, and then we change the plans and we do something else. But I got some pretty great ideas in there. I think there's lots more ideas still to be tested and tried. So if you're interested in that, definitely keep listening in. So anyways, you have a great day wherever you are, and take care. Be safe out there.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope you enjoyed this episode about riding school safety. Next week, Helle continues the discussion on safety, focusing on the school horses. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to give us a rating, thumbs up, or a like, depending where you are listening.